Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna be talking about Germany once again. If you haven't seen my last video, go check it out. I'll link it up here in the eye and also down below in the description. In the last one we were talking with Mia about different kinds of aspects of living in Germany from perspective of like 13 years in Germany and 3 years in Germany. And today I wanted to talk to you why actually should you move to Germany, or what's good about living in Germany. And yeah, so I have again prepared a list, classical on paper, so I really prefer writing stuff on paper. And yeah, the first topic that we're going to be talking about is the geographical position of Germany. So it is located right in the center of Europe, so it is really easy to get around, especially by land, so car or trains, buses, etc. And for example, it has borders, if I'm not mistaken, with 9 different countries. And for instance, I am living in Munich, so it takes just a couple of hours to go to Austria. Actually, if you go to Salzburg, it's less than an hour, it's only about 80 kilometers away. Then in about 4 hours you can be already walking the streets of Strasbourg, and in about again 4 hours you will be in the northern Italy, passing Austria or Switzerland. So only in the south of Germany you have this many countries. And actually one of the two tiny countries in Europe, they are also bordering with Germany, which is Liechtenstein, which is actually located here between Germany, Austria and Switzerland. And then another one is Luxembourg, which is closer to the north part of country. And yeah, so also kind of cool destination, right, to visit teeny tiny countries. And especially now that post-pandemic the prices for flights are pretty high and it's not that easy to fly around, it is really cool to just jump in a car and drive away for a long weekend, but also maybe explore Italy for a couple of weeks. A few years ago we actually went to southern Italy by car. It's just about 11-hour drive down to the boot. Yeah, and well, it was really great, an amazing vacation. And then we could also take whatever we wanted because we didn't have any weight limits as you do usually have by flying to places. But I still hope that the flight prices will go down eventually, because I would also like to explore destinations a bit further away that you wouldn't be probably driving to. Alright, so now let's move on to the next part, and it's the social system. So Europe in general, not only Germany, is well known for a very good social system, especially if you compare to the US or maybe also to the Dubai system, where you basically have to work till you die if you haven't saved anything for your retirement. However, here in Germany and Europe, you do have very good social systems. So from your salary usually you are paying your health insurance, unless of course you have a private plan, then it's a bit differently, but also public health system is very good. So you will get treatment if you get sick. It doesn't matter if it's just like a common cold, or let's say God forbid you need a cancer treatment, you will get treated for anything that happens to you, and you will not go bankrupt because of that, because the social insurance, so the health insurance, is covering all of that. Of course, if it's well, beauty procedures or something, then it will go out of your pocket, but anything medical is of course covered. And yeah, so the retirement is also paid from your salary. So once you reach the retirement age, which is at the moment 67, so I don't know if I'm gonna even live until then. Hopefully I will, but yeah, when I'm 67 I will just retire with the German nice pension. I hope so, that the system won't fall apart by then, because it's still quite a few years to go. But if you are retiring here in Germany, but also in Europe in general, you will get a pension in the end. It is still advised to, of course, save on the side privately. So if you're able to do that, of course, do it. It's just better for you when you are retiring and just enjoying your free time finally at the end of your life. Fun thing, actually, German word for retirement, so like another word is Lebensabend, so the evening of your life, so when you just enjoy kind of the sunset of your life. And well, another benefit of the social system here, of course, if for example you're planning a family, so the parental leave here is also very well covered, so your workplace will be secured for you for up to 3 years, and also you can get paid maternity or paternity leave for up to 2 years. So if you choose to have only 1 year off work, then you will get about 65% of your net salary, and if you choose to go for 2 years of maternity leave, then you would be getting half of that, so it will split in half of what you would be getting in 1 year. The other part, of course, is sick leave, so you are covered if you are sick. So not only the health insurance covers all the treatment, but also you're covered if you are on a sick leave. So let's say you have a cold just a couple of days, it's covered, but also if, again, God forbid, you break a leg or something and you need to take 6 weeks off, it's still covered. So the system is set up this way that per illness or per diagnosis, you get up to 6 weeks fully paid by your employer, and also after that it's covered by your health insurance, which is a bit less, so it depends if you have children or you're alone. It's different percentage of your salary, but you get paid even if you're off on a longer sick leave, and of course your job is still safe during that time, so it's not like you get sick and you get fired immediately. Of course, if you are still in a probation period, that can happen still, so be careful and don't abuse sick leave, especially in the first 3 to 6 months when you usually have your probation period in your new job. And in case you are out of job, so let's say something didn't work out and you decided to leave the company, or the company decides to say goodbye to you, and it was not because well, you left your long-term job or you did something bad and they fired you, but rather like from the economical reasons, or if it was still during the probation period, then you are also entitled to unemployment benefits, which is also really nice, because then you know that worst case scenario, you will still have some money to pay your bills and also to eat, of course, because, well, food also costs. And usually the benefits for unemployment, they are about 60 to 67%, depending again if you have children or not. So let's say you have no children, then it would be 60% of your net salary, so the after-tax salary, and also the health insurance and rent pension system would be covered by that already, so you don't need to worry that you would have like gaps in the pension contribution, or you would have no health insurance. Actually, it is legally necessary to have a health insurance here in Germany, whatever it is, if it's a state health insurance or it's a private one, everybody has to have it. And yeah, so we are done now with this topic, and we're gonna move to the next one, which is job security. So in Germany, the job security is pretty good. Also, the work-life balance is really well. So for example, it is easy to fire someone during the probation period because, well, you don't really need a reason, and the notice period is then 2 weeks. This is kind of the shortest possible period, notice period. And after that, if you pass your probation period, it is almost impossible to get fired, unless of course you are stealing from the company or you did terrible damage and it's all your fault. Then of course, unfortunately, you will probably be fired. But other than that, it's almost impossible. And if you have an unlimited contract, you will be just able to stay in that job for as long as you need, as long as you want as well. And yeah, so everything will be then covered by there, as long as you comply with the minimum requirements from your employer, of course. So you won't be able just to sit around all day and do nothing. You would still have to do some work. And as for the work-life balance, so the working hours are pretty regulated here. So it is like 8 hours per day of work. So if you take also breaks, for lunch, which is also legally necessary to take lunch breaks. So it would be then 8.5, 9 hours work day. So let's say you work from 8 till 1, then 1 to 1:30 you take lunch break, and then 1:30 till 4:30 you will be working again, and that's it. That would be your working day. So you don't have to work more than that. Of course, if you want to, you can. And I am talking, of course, about more like traditional positions like office jobs, or so like retail jobs. It can happen if you work as like, for example, doctors, firefighters, police people. They of course have longer shifts, and also it can happen that if you work in a restaurant that you might also have to work a bit longer one day, but then of course you get a day off instead of that time. So that is really cool. And another work-life balance point is that here you have vacation days. So legally the minimum amount of vacation days is 20 days per year, so 4 weeks off, and a lot of companies actually give more than that. So some companies, they give just a couple of days more, some others actually give a lot more. So for example, most of the bigger companies here in Germany, they have 30 working vacation days per year, so it is 6 weeks. And if you also plan them really smartly, then you will be able to have even more, because also, at least here in Bavaria, we have 13 public holidays. So if you plan around carefully, you might even get up to 7 or 8 vacation weeks per year, which is really cool. And this is of course all paid, and it is of course your job is secured while you're enjoying your beach holiday, or maybe looking at the Aurora Borealis in Iceland. So this was it for our job security and work-life balance topic. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is the education system here. So of course, to land a job you need to know something, and luckily here the education is really affordable and very good quality. So all kids, they are entitled to have a kindergarten spot from 3 years old, but also of course there are younger kids going to other like childcare facilities that are sometimes private also, because well, it's not that many spots open usually. And then after that, of course, everybody goes to school, which is again pretty normal to go to a public school. Private schools are usually for international kids, for example, who are maybe staying here only temporarily. Then they go to bilingual schools. There are of course different bilingual schools like English, German, Italian, German, Spanish, German, etc. But most of the kids, also foreigners, they are going to public schools, which are really good. And after finishing school, of course, a lot of people, if they want to, of course, they go to universities, which are really good quality here indeed, because well, I also studied in a university here in Munich. It was LMU, so Ludwig Maximilian Uni, and it is really good. I can really confirm that. And also it doesn't really cost much, because you only need to pay the administrative fee, which is around 150 euros per semester, so 300 euros a year, and that's it. There is no tuition fee at all for anyone. Simply you need to be good in school, so you need to have good grades to access certain studies. For example, like medical school, you really need to be good in high school. But like my career, like my path was linguistics, and I didn't need to have super good grades, so I was really easily accepted. And well, I enjoyed what I was studying, so I learned like 3 languages in my study time, and I'm really happy about it. And yeah, I have a cat here also who wants to join us. Here you go, one tiny student. And yeah, so if you are also planning to study after high school maybe, and you don't want to pay crazy money if in your country it is super expensive, then you might consider coming to Germany. It only takes around 1 year to learn German if you don't know it yet, and then the entire your degree will be basically free, and you will also have really good quality knowledge, because most of the German universities, they always hit the top lists in Europe, but also worldwide. Actually, one of, well, the LMU, the uni that I went to, is almost always like in tops. Also the other Munich uni, TUM, so technical university, is also always in the top list. So think about it. Might be a really good decision for you. Then the next part is low crime rates and, well, general safety here in Germany. And yeah, coming from the post-Soviet Union country, Lithuania, it is different, because back home we do have like small crime rates pretty high, so like people get mugged, unfortunately, quite regularly, and also there are like lots of car accidents, etc. Bicycles are also like not really safe transportation mean, and here it's exactly the opposite. So even as a, let's say, a young girl, you can go out in the city also, even if it's after dark, and you would be perfectly safe. Well, of course, shit happens, right? But in general, you are really safe here, even if it's a big city like Munich, for example. It's more than 1.5 million people here, and still you are able to be okay all by yourself on the streets. Of course, well, be really careful and just pay attention to your surroundings, and that will be fine. And in general also, well, other types of crime don't happen here, and yeah, pretty safe here. Also, the drivers are really careful, so you wouldn't get hit. Well, again, I touched the wood, you wouldn't get hit by a car like it might happen in some other countries. And yeah, also like pickpockets, they are not so common. Of course it happens, but usually it happens like during bigger events in the city, like for example Oktoberfest, the most famous beer fest in the world. This can happen during that time because there are just millions and millions of visitors coming to the city, so it's a bit different. But on a regular basis, like a regular living local person here, that will be just perfectly fine. Then the next thing, why is it really good to live here in Germany? Well, it's kind of not one thing, but three things. Well, three. It's discipline, order, and punctuality. So usually, like here, people, they are very disciplined because everything usually happens on schedule. You usually have a plan for most of your things. Even if you're going out with friends, you usually have a plan in advance, like what you are thinking of doing, etc. Also like for your schools, etc. you have a plan. If you start doing some type of sports, you have a plan what you're gonna be doing. And then of course order again. If you, let's say, are at work, there's always, well, not always, maybe some companies do it differently, but usually there is an order in place. So for example, like there is documentation for every single thing, and certain things, they have to happen in the correct order. Also with like officials, let's say you need to get like a permit or something, there is always like a step-by-step guide. So there is order everywhere. Also like on the streets, people usually don't cross at the red light, even if there are no cars around. And this is pretty normal. Also, it kind of is important, let's say with this red light crossing, that to show the example to the future generation. So if there are kids around, people always try to behave in a good manner, which is really cool. And well, punctuality is like really big topic in Germany, as you probably already know. So most of the time, not always, but most of the time, like trains and buses, they come on time, at scheduled time. And also if you like meet with the friends, etc., everybody comes on time. Like, okay, maybe 10 minutes delay is acceptable, but more than that, usually not. Also, like the class is happening on time. If it's a party dinner, also it happens on time. If you arrange something and you are late, you better message them or call them. That just kind of shows, you know, respect. And yeah, also kind of time is valuable here because, well, people are busy. Even you like plan a dinner there with your friends, you usually schedule it a couple of weeks in advance. Not only because, well, everybody's busy, but then also if you want to book a place, then it takes you know, time and effort to search for something and book it. And then if everybody is late, then or not even showing up, then kind of party is a little bit well, not so successful maybe. But anyway, yeah, so punctuality, order and discipline are still very important in Germany. So if you like that, you are really gonna be feeling good here. Then the next part, which is kind of the basis of a lot of things here. So Germany has pretty robust economy and also pretty stable political situation. So even now, during the past couple of years, like during the pandemic, also now currently with the crisis in Europe, like you probably know about the crisis of Ukraine and Russia, but also then quite recently a terrible earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So even with all this happening around Germany, literally right across a couple of borders, it is still pretty stable. So the jobs are still secure, and also like we still have, of course, food in the shops, and people can afford a living. And the politically also, like, there is no feeling that something is happening. It feels really safe and secure, like you know that the next day will be good still, even though a lot of terrible things are happening at the moment. So it's still good to be here in Germany at this time of our history, because, well, history is happening just right around the corner from us. And if you would like to have this feeling of kind of stability and security, I think this is really good place to be. And then a bit on a more positive note, the next one, I would call it the green living. So here, at least in Munich, probably also other parts of Germany, the city itself, but also the other towns around, they are really green. So there are lots of green patches in the cities, lots of parks. So one of actually biggest parks, if I'm not mistaken, in the entire world, the Englischer Garten, is actually bigger than the Central Park in New York, and it's right in the middle of the city. So it starts right in the city center, like next to the old town, and it stretches outside of the city. So it is really super green city with lots of also lakes within the city for people to access them by public transportation or bicycles. And speaking of bicycles, it's also very green, like in a eco-friendly way. So a lot of people are using bicycles as everyday transportation. So instead of taking a car or a bus, etc., they just jump on their bikes and cycle around. Also because there are lots of bike lanes, so it's pretty safe on the streets also for cyclists. Of course, you still have to be careful, pay attention to the you know, traffic around you, and you should be fine. And then you will be also enjoying all this greenery outside, and also contributing to the better environment by this. So if you are all into this green living and eco-friendliness, it's really a great place to be, because you will feel here right at home, because, well, a lot of people are very similar to that like approach, living approach. So you would also find a lot of people who are like-minded, so maybe also even make friends on that basis. And speaking of transportation, the next point would be then the public transportation, which is again pretty cool. And now speaking again of my home country, Lithuania, there, well, we don't really have a very dense system of public transportation. We also only have buses in my hometown, so there is nothing else. And here in Munich, there are, first of all, different kinds of public transportation. So you have like city buses, suburb buses, you have trams, you have like underground, you have also suburban trains that are fully integrated into the city system, you have regional trains, and of course intercity trains. So now speaking just about the city of Munich, it is super easy to get around the city just with the public transportation. So you don't necessarily need to have a car. Of course, car is very nice and it's a luxury, and it does help to have a better life quality. But if you don't want to, if you don't have driver's license, if you don't enjoy driving, if you just want to save money and not have a car, if you are more into the green living, then of course public transportation comes into play, and it is really good here. So the system is very well balanced, so the network is very dense, the ticketing system is pretty good, and also now in Germany later in spring there should be again a cheaper ticket for all public transportation in the entire country, for all the city transportation plus the regional trains, meaning it would be, if I'm not mistaken, 49 euros per month, and you can use in any city, any regional train for as many times as you want. So let's say if I'm living in Munich, I pay 49 euros per month. I'm using the entire city's public transportation network, but also if I want to, for example, go visit Nuremberg or Augsburg, just like a few hours away, and I need to take the regional train, I can just do it. And then arriving there, again, I can use the local public transportation. So if I need to get a bus or something to another spot in that town. And this is really cool. So hopefully this ticket is coming because as far as I know it has been confirmed, but it's not really advertised yet. So let's see, maybe they want to postpone it again, because well, it actually was supposed to be here starting from the New Year's, so from the 2023, but then they postponed because well, it was not entirely decided. So hopefully it is now. And yeah, speaking of all the public transportation and regional trains, etc., so my next tip, or my next reason to be in Germany, to move to Germany, would be, well, because it's a beautiful country, right? And you can just, well, again, take a train if you don't have a car, or take a car if you do have a car, and just go and explore it. There are lots of also like old towns, like very nice, pretty old towns around here. Even just the Munich city has still very nice, beautiful old town with the main square, with the main town hall building. It's really beautiful. But also if you explore smaller towns, they also have this like old Europe character. And if you like exploring nature, there is so much to offer. So if we are speaking about the south of Germany, of course the Alps. If you are a mountain lover, you can just go and explore that. There are so many also lakes everywhere. One of the most famous lakes is probably Königssee, and it's really beautiful. Like, it's really worth going there, at least for a day trip. Then if you're into castles, and again we're still staying in the southern Germany, so, and you always wanted to see the Disney castle, and the Disney castle actually is based on a Neuschwanstein castle, which is located here also in Bavaria, and it is also beautiful, especially like from the outside. When you look at it, it's really magical. And even there around, you could still jump to another castle or another palace, etc. There is so much to see. And then if you go up to north, of course, there is the seaside. So Germany has actually two seasides, so the North Sea and the Baltic Sea. So whichever you like better. I myself actually am from the Baltic Sea seaside, so Lithuania also is sharing the same sea with Germany, and well, this is something that for me is kind of home because of just the smell, the sand. It's really nice and I love it. But of course, it is a bit further away for me coming from Munich. It's about a 9 to 10 hour drive to get there. And with a train, actually, with this regional system, I read somewhere online that it might take up to 18 hours. Because you also need to change a lot, and regional trains, they are not super fast, but if you do have a car and you like driving, you know, German Autobahn, so German highway, is one of the few, I think, if not the only one in the world that has no speed limit in most of the parts. So of course there are areas that you would still have some speed limit, but some of the parts you can just go as fast as you can, or as fast as your car can. And yeah, just enjoy, you know, the drive, the views, and explore the country. There is so much to see, there is so much to do. plus you get a very nice quality of life. So if you were thinking whether it's worth moving to Germany or not, here are your answers. Here are the reasons why you should move to Germany. And if this was not enough, just leave your questions down below and I'll really get back to them and answer in all the details. And really, if you like also seeing more about Germany, also some kind of lifestyle content based in Germany, feel free to subscribe. I'm really happy to see, to kind of get feedback from you guys. Also hit the like button. This will show me that it was something that you'd like to see more of. And for now, thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!